And this is my next pumpkin meal. So this is Hallo-week leftovers number 3, I think. And it's a little tortilla pocket, and there's some sunflower seeds, romaine lettuce, red onion, orange bell pepper, and cilantro. And that's these things. And I have a couple warmed up from the oven, and they're already filled with about that much each. I'm going to talk about vicious fun, and I don't know if James is going to want some of the taco sauce that came with this. I cooked the pumpkin and the navy beans with the seasoning that came with this, but the taco sauce, I imagine it's salsa, and it says it's mild, so you might want some, but you might not too.
Yeah, I don't think I'll need it.
So yeah,
You're
you may
saying
as well.
these are warmed
yeah,
up, and
eat
you
the
already
warm ones.
prepared them?
Well, yeah,
They're-
just eat one, and then it's not that hot.
I have
It's very cool.
okay.
Oh, and I also have cheese in there, so I didn't put cheese on the plate to show you. I forgot.
Pauline has a little trouble with her circulation, so she doesn't feel heat.
No, I don't.
The way most people do. But it's
Still pretty
barely handleable. Yeah.
Okay, so you can put whatever of those toppings on it. Oh, you don't want to do that. What are you
I'm
going to just
seeing
eat
what
it
it's
with a
like
fork?
just by itself.
Okay.
It's good. I'm going to eat it with my fork.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
whatever. It's up to you.
It's beans and cheese, and
And pumpkin and seasoning.
it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
plenty good by itself.
So, anyway, when I was looking at this, I'm like, how do I fill these little things? Because when you fill a regular tortilla, you can arrange it all so that you have the same sort of stuff in every bite or whatever. You know, a mix of everything, right? Hi, little chickadee. How's it
Yeah.
going?
He's going beep, beep, beep
He is.
in the background.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Or she, sharpening its bill there. Are they saying they want that bill to get fed or something like that?
I think so. I think that's exactly what that little chickadee's saying.
It's like our dogs go to the dog food dish when
Yeah,
they want
exactly.
some food. But they won't eat anything.
Yeah.
They'll just sniff at it and then
Yeah.
come over to you with a hopeful look.
Yeah. Even if there's something in there, they're like, not this. You know, something better.
Sometimes it's especially when there's
Yes. They're like, this dog food sucks, but I am hungry. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm glad that this didn't suck today, because I went to Shoppers Drug Mart in the morning, as you know I often do, to go get clearance food, and the cheese was on special for about $3 a package, which is amazing, and these tortilla pockets kits were $1.69 each, I think, so that's pretty awesome too. And well, veggies I had around already. So, and the pumpkin, you know, was my jack-o'-lantern. So
it makes a great filling, but also for a great feeling. But it makes a great filling.
good. I'm very glad, because I'm trying to introduce you to some ideas that are easy. This only took me less than 10 minutes, I think, to make.
Well,
It didn't seem like I was in there for very long. I'll get you some, don't worry.
very enthused today.
Yeah. But, I mean, pumpkins, it's so cheap. So cheap to eat a pumpkin. And actually quite delicious if you just try a few different ways of making it. And so far, what has been your favorite of the pumpkin dishes?
This one, actually.
Really?
But that one yesterday, the surf was awesome, too.
Okay. So they just keep getting better. Because at first you were like, the sage, pan-fried sage.
I like those ones, too.
Was you said it was the best pumpkin I've ever tasted.
Yeah,
So
no,
then-
this is the best. I don't know where it's going to go.
I don't know
tomorrow.
how I can top this then. I'm feeling really, I don't know, concerned. Maybe I won't do as well now. because
Pressure's
I'm-
on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like the Beatles in the mid to late 60s. They topped themselves every album. So Pressure can be good.
Okay, well, we'll see. I'll hope for the best. So, talk about vicious fun, which is really entertaining. It's, well, it says it's Shudder, Crowd, RLJE Films. It feels very art school, you know, not, although they did get one actor that you'd recognize. So
He used to be on The Office, right?
yeah, and he did a great job. So everyone did a great job in this. Yeah,
I thought I recognized.
it's an interesting sort of horror movie. And I watched one that was another homemade sort of feel to it of self-help serial killer group thing, which didn't work at all. This one worked a lot better, but still, I mean, you're looking at it going, okay, well, what's the purpose of this whole thing? But still, this is quite entertaining. So, no stack today, you see, it's just this one, but I'd still, I'm glad I brought it out.
Well, you've been working on art pretty seriously.
Yeah, but today I was doing all sorts of other things.
No, you were shopping.
Yeah, and I had a wonderful day. So I'm glad that you're now having a wonderful day. You don't want any of this sauce.
I don't need it. It's just I'll be handling other stuff.
All right.
And
well, we'll save the sauce for later then.
This is plenty saucy as is.
Okay, good. I'm glad you like it. So I think I should say I think I put a little bit extra water in, because I put the water in and I'm like, it looks a little thick, and I put a little more. Because the thing is with the pumpkin, I mean, you might not notice the sweet, but there's sugars in there, and so it kind of caramelizes, right, with the sauce, and works really well, actually. So everybody should try this dish, really. And if you're lucky, you might be able to zip out to Shoppers Drug Mart and get these for really cheap right now. And then you can have, just as James says, which it looks like it works. It's not leaking out the bottom or anything like that. It looks like these pockets actually do.
Well, sometimes when you get those wrap things,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like a pipe.
Sure.
The pipe has two ends, so you work on one end.
Yeah.
It's to spill out the other, so it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Way to go, El Paso.
Yeah, and who would have thought of it? Really, honestly, it's it works out really well, and I feel bad for them because for some reason it looks like they're not selling, because I was able to buy them on clearance for $1.69.
Well, you know, they might have just overproduced for a particular
maybe. Or
production
yeah,
run
maybe
or something like that.
they sell at other stores, but maybe not Shoppers Drug Mart. People are going into Shoppers Drug Mart and they're not thinking tortilla pocket skid.
Oh. So where does the El Paso stuff come from? Is it from Texas or?
No. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, this is a horror movie and a comedy. So if you're into that sort of thing, which I tend to be, then I think you'll like this movie. And from the sounds of what James is, from his reviews of this pumpkin, this Hallo-week leftovers meal review, everybody should try this too. So there you go. I have nothing more to say. Do you want me to talk about my day or something?
It's imported through Mississauga, I just noticed. But
Okay.
it actually says a product of Mexico. Now, I don't know if it's the company originally came from Mexico.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a Spanish name, it just means the pass.
Okay. Well, anyway, so
But the famous El Paso is in very west Texas,
yeah.
almost in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is, if you go to Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, I think the best way would be to fly in and land at El Paso.
And I made enough of this mix for all 8 pockets. So if you have a hankering for more of these tonight, I heat that up and you're set to go. That's,
It's good you heated the pockets up too.
I know,
Just
nice and soft.
it's soft and it's warm on the hands.
Yeah,
It's kind of cool out here.
it is kind of cool.
Looks as though the weather might be changing.
Yes. Yeah. But that's all right. That just
Still a
means I'll
Chinook,
have-
but it looks as though the Chinook arch is moving from the west-southwest to the northwest. And when it does that, we usually get intermittent bands of rainfall, or precip, snow, in season.
All right.
So I'm going to, once I finish this,
You're going to start on some rock and roll.
something like that.
Oh, I'll grab that.
Thank you.
And there you go. I'll let
Alrighty.
you know how much time you have to talk. You have 18 minutes and almost 19 actually.
Okay.
So there you go. I'll bring the sauce back in and you have fun.
Okay. I don't know if folks at home will have fun. Sometimes I say things that people don't like to hear, but the mere fact that people don't like hearing stuff. And I'm not saying the majority of folks out there are this way, but I know there's some. The mere fact that you don't like hearing something, or someone doesn't like hearing something, doesn't make it not true. I tell people on the to the left of the left wing in the United States that they're as much responsible for Donald Trump as anyone, except maybe Donald Trump himself, getting elected back in 2016, getting to the point where he almost stole the election in 2020 and stands a good chance of stealing the election, I think, which is going on tonight in the United States. They start gritting their teeth. It's like weeping and gnashing of teeth. I mentioned it. And, you know, they sat on their hands back in 2016. People like Susan Sarandon stormed, maybe didn't stomp quite, out of the Democratic National Convention back in 2016 saying, there's no difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. What is she talking? And what I said, as soon as I heard about that is, let's hope she doesn't find out. We found out. People are interested in Roe versus Wade, Roe v. Wade, however you want to call it. Maintaining it. It's on you guys. Any one of you guys that didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because of your high principles. It's on you, you stupid idiots, because you're the ones who allowed that election to be close enough so the Russians could steal that election, 2016, for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, if he lost that election, officially, he lost the election in terms of the vote, and that's the officially counted vote. There was a whole lot of cheating going on. It's almost like that Jerry Lee Lewis song. A whole lot of shaking going on. A whole lot of faking going on. On the part of the Republicans, and orchestrated by Vladimir Putin back in 2016, there was a lot of it in 2020. There's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of it tonight in the United States. But you basically allowed him to get on the bully pulpit for 4 years, starting early 2017 to early 2021. And people all of a sudden started thinking of him as something of a winner, and not just a wiener. There you go. A whiner, too, weirdly enough. He's always whining about this, that, and the other thing, and then he's strutting around pretending he's strong, decisive, whatnot, telling the flunkies you're fired on a crummy TV show, I think it was called The Apprentice, is not exactly making real decisions in real life situations. Anyway, I was talking the other day about I think it was yesterday actually, about the curve of early Bruce Springsteen's career. You know, it seems as though anything that mattered really came out in his first 10 years or so. And here's his first 10 albums. I think I've got them in order. But yeah, I was saying, I think, you know, on mature consideration, and it took me a while to come around to this judgment. This is his best album, Wild, Innocent, East Street Shuffle, the best combination of lyrics and music. So yeah, I didn't have my glasses on, and sometimes I've just woken up before I do a review. So I kept on mixing up Rosalita and Incident on 57th Street. They're two very different songs, but they along with the tune that follows Rosalita, make up maybe the best side of Springsteen's music. This, of course, was put out when there were two sides to discs in the form of records. But the first side's actually pretty good too. There's two pretty good songs, two okay songs on this. But Bruce Springsteen has basically lost his lyric gift, and I think he kind of lost it almost by intention. You know, as reading that book that I reviewed a couple of days back, that was called Bruce. There were quotes in there that seemed to suggest that Springsteen, from about maybe the Wild and Innocent, the Street Shuffle, was trying to simplify his lyrics or something like that. Yeah, that's not a good idea when you're actually not the greatest poet ever hit rock and roll. I mean, there's people like Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen's kind of borderline rock and roll, I suppose you could say. More like folk music, I guess. Much less the best poet in the English language. You don't go around simplifying your lyrics if you've actually achieved a little bit, as Springsteen did on the Wild Innocent East Street Shuffle, to a lesser extent, Born to Run, and a considerably lesser extent in the following. You know, like I was going to say that, and then of course, even more noticeably, he simplified his the construction of his many of his songs. So the last time, what I've been able to tell, that he actually did a song that was constructed in something like a through composed manner. It was Candy's Room off of his fourth album. I think it dates to 1978. There we go. It says 1978. It's a wonder what you can read when you actually got glasses on. Why don't I wear glasses all the time? Because I got the cheapest cataract surgery, got the cheapest lenses, and so I got 20/20 vision driving. I need glasses for when I'm reading, which was the opposite of the way it used to be. It used to be short-sighted. Anyway, I could have got, if I had more money, lenses that adjusted. But accommodated, I think, is the term. Correct. Physiological term. Anatomical term, whatever. More physiological. But I'm not made of cash. I'm sure you guys realize that when you look at the way I dress. The only thing I really spend money on is I don't spend actually that much money on CDs anymore because people are just giving them away. Buy the stuff new. And books, and again, I don't really spend that much money on books because again, people are giving them away, books away, as though they're dirt, really. And the sad thing is, I see people who should be reading books wandering around. Sometimes they're wandering around behind the wheel of a car, but wandering home and walking And they should be spending much of their time reading. I'd rather see a person trying to read a book when they're walking than someone piddling around on their so-called smartphone. I call them dumb phones. It's a fairly dumb kind of. It's not really even a pun or something. It's just that's the way it is. But yeah, so Bruce Springsteen, like one of the things that John Landau went to university, might even graduated at a place called, I don't know how to pronounce it, Brandeis, a place in the urban sprawl around, suburban maybe, around Boston. And he should know better. And oftentimes, Springsteen, not oftentimes, but enough to be annoying, he will invert. So to come up with a rhyme, he will invert the normal order of the English language, word order. And Landau, better, he should have said, come on, you can do better. Come up with something different. Come up with a different rhyme, or find some way of working that phrase around, that sentence around, so that it's not inverted, but you got the same rhyme. Something like that. He should have just sent him back to the drawing board. But he didn't. I don't know. Like being a manager and originally a producer, producers actually got to say, it's not just how you record something, it's what you're recording. And if the person doing the recording is the performer is doing his or her own songs, they should the producer should make a few demands from the performer as to the final form of that song. Anyway, I'll be talking a little bit more eventually about rock and roll. I'm going through this book, so I'm reviewing it as I'm reading it. Largely, I've gone through almost all of it, but I didn't actually do my usual practice of checking every page as I go through. So now I'm doing that as I go through it a second time. But I'll only officially count it as going through the first time. So when I say I'm reading, I'm reviewing it as I'm reading it, it's really reviewing it as I'm rereading. Okay, so I started reviewing this book a while back, and we've kind of been doing a lot of movie reviews and so on and so forth. I did want to finish this up, if it's possible today, finish up reviewing. So it's written by a guy called Ranulph Fiennes or something like that. Probably should be Fiennes. Apparently there's a place in, maybe it's North London, Finsbury, I think, where his ancestors used to have something kind of like an ancestral home, presumably before London, that part of London became part of the London urban sprawl. So it seems like a French name, but it could be a Norman French name. So the Norman, a better designation is Norseman. I'm making it up. The Normans from the northern part of France, and that includes William the Conqueror, who conquered England in 1066 AD, are actually Norsemen, i.e. Vikings. So they conquered that northern part of France. On the coast of the English Channel, a little bit further inland. 911 AD, I believe. And I think it was a guy called Rollo who did it. We call him Rollo. I don't know what his real Viking name was. And about 150 years later, one of his successors, I wouldn't say descendants, decided he was going to extend his domains and took over much of the main part of Great Britain, including some of Ireland, at least some of his successors did. So Fitzgerald, for example, that's a French name. but it's a sign, Fitzgibbons. It's a sign that the real name nowadays would be Fils Gérard in the case of one. Fils Gilbert, actually. Gibbons is actually short for Gilbertson or something like that. It's Gilbert, which means something like right hostage. Gilbert. It's a Germanic kind of name. But Fils means son. Son of Gerard, or Gerald actually. And the French have changed Gerald to Gérard. Morphed a lot. Anyway, this guy's a bit of an adventurer. It's hilarious. In this book, he complains, and he complained actually through the courts of law again about a guy called Alan Fotheringham, who's used to be reasonably well known in Canada. He was a columnist for Canada's magazine of record, as it were, our equivalent here of maybe Time magazine or Newsweek. I don't know what the equivalent would be in England. It wouldn't be The Economist exactly. In Germany, it would be, what is it, Der Stern, or Der Spiegel, and what is it, Die Stern? Das Stern? Der Stern. And, sorry folks, I've taken German, but just to read it, really. And so I forget they've got 3 articles in German. In English, well, definite articles. In English, we only have 1, the. German, they've got D-E-R, de, das, and die. Okay? It gets quite confusing. Unnecessarily so, but what can you do? Dutch kind of smoothed it down a little bit. They've only got, as I recall, 2. But they kind of they've got the neuter, and then they've got the, I guess you'd have to call it animal. It's a similar thing that what you have in the Algonquian languages, which include Blackfoot, which is native to this area. But there's lots of Algonquian languages, not here, just here in Canada, but extensively down into the northeastern part of the United States. Anyway, he complains because Fotheringham, and he actually won a court settlement, I think $100,000, which was later ameliorated from McLean's point of view to $10,000. I'm not sure. I think Fotheringham did libel Fiennes, or whatever his name is, because he was saying, he just went over the top. He was saying the various adventures of this Ranulph guy served no scientific purpose. 5 minutes?
A minute.
A minute. You know, like he was able to prove that they served some scientific purpose, but the guy's basically an adventurer. He's the kind of guy who tries to make it to the pole, unassisted, stuff like that, to the North Pole. Well, who cares? Who really cares? So they were able to do some scientific stuff. I don't think he ever finally did it, but he almost died several times. I'll review it a bit more. It's important to deal with this kind of stuff. I'll be reviewing a book on survival mechanisms and stuff like that. It bears kind of like some of the stuff this guy experienced. Okay?